And joining us now is Cooley law expert Brendan Berry. Thank you so much for being here with us. First, just what was your reaction to President Trump being there? A sitting president of the United States has never attended oral arguments at the high court before. Why do you think he was there?
That's a good question. He is the first president ever to attend an oral argument. There's certainly nothing that would prevent the president from doing that if the president wanted to, except for sort of norms and protocols. It's been the norm in the United States that we honor separation of powers, and that's always been considered to include the executive abstaining from appearing to influence or try to influence a judicial opinion. So this would be a first. It did raise eyebrows that the president was in the courtroom, but again, there's nothing stopping a president from doing that. It's just been the norm throughout history up until this point.
And with the president being at the hearing, do you think it will make a difference in this case?
I don't think would make a difference at all. The only thing I think might have made a difference is if there was any kind of making faces or trying to communicate at all with the justices might have cut against the administration. But the fact that the president was there should not have any impact whatsoever on the outcome of the case.
Mm-hmm. And based on what I was reading on the hearing today, the reaction of the justices suggests they will rule against President Trump. Do you see it that way as well?
Yeah, there was some skepticism among the justices, and it's gotten more and more, I guess that they tip their hands a little bit more than they used to. It's gotten easier to tell which way they're leaning. There was a lot of skepticism, especially, I think, because of the practical implications of possibly agreeing with the Trump administration, who's arguing that if you're not a resident of a state, at the time of your birth, or your parents weren't a resident of a state at the time of your birth, you're not a citizen. That questions. First of all, timing-wise, who would be a citizen, who's not? What's resident mean? Would that mean one parent, both parents? So justices seem really confused about how, if they were to agree with the Trump administration, how they would carry out a program like that.
Okay, Brendan Berry with Cooley Law. Thank you for your reaction and analysis. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.